when you say, oh, you want to come on a beer? Yeah, we want to come on a beer. Or it just is.
Hey, so we're back with more of my conversation with Helen and Ola, and in this part of the series, I guess we'll call it, they talk a little bit about what some of the challenges are in, manning a 38-foot boat, sailboat. And they make it sound fairly easy, but I'm not convinced. I still think it's an extremely challenging task to take on. Obviously, when you've been doing something for a long time, it's like a professional basketball player, like an NBA player, is not going to say, "Oh yeah, basketball's so hard." But I mean, it's not. But playing against a very good team is going to be a very difficult thing to do. Sitting on a boat is not hard. Probably putting up and taking down the sails on a boat is not very hard. But rocking around in the waves and being hit by the wind and all those things at once, I imagine, unless you're very, very, agile and experienced, then it's going to be a challenging thing to do. I still hold it. I obviously don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I still hold them in the. I have a lot of respect for what they do and the decision that they made. They also talk about their social life, how their social life functions now in this new, very unique lifestyle that they've chosen. And, well, let's just take a listen.
Sailing, obviously. How technical is it?
It's not that difficult, actually.
No.
No, I don't think so.
So like when weather comes in or something like that, I imagine things change a little bit, right?
Yeah, then it changes. Then you just take down some sails.
Oh, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Is there a lot of yelling in those situations? Hey, do this, no? Oh, so pretty peaceful most of the time, right?
Yeah, most of the time. Not always, but most of the time.
Well, the worst is to go in the marinas. It's always difficult because you don't know how it looks before, and you have to think very fast if something happens, and the wind can take you, and you're going against the other boats. So it's the most dangerous. When you're out there, it's more safe.
Has that ever happened to you guys before?
Yes, it has.
I'm a good captain.
No, but in the beginning, because our other boat was a plastic smaller one, and Bobo is very heavy, she's a steel boat, and when the wind takes her, it can go very fast, and she's heavy, and the boat propellers we have, sometimes they are not strong enough to put her out. And it was in Holland? No, Denmark it was. We went in and it was so tiny marina, we didn't know that. So our boat was a little bit too big. And when you go in the marina and go where your place will be, they have like
big poles in the water.
In the water. And we didn't really fit,
between the
and
posts.
Suddenly the wind picks up and we're starting to bang into these wooden things. But we were not so close to the boat. Okay, it was close to the boat, but it was really scary. You were like, tuk, 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 tuk.
Was there any damage?
No, just
a little on the boat, but it was so scary. But everyone wakes up because everyone was sitting inside. They didn't come out and helped us. Because you do that on sea, you help each other. It's very important. If you see someone coming in and some problem, you go out and try to help them with lines or whatever. But these people were like,
but we wake them up,
Yeah, we wake them up. Everyone was out like, whoa, out with fenders and like, we were, yeah, thank you.
So the community, now that you mention that, this sense of community, I know out in the ocean, there's not much of a community, it's just you, but when you come in, it sounds like most of the time people will come and mingle and stuff.
Yeah, in a lot of marinas, like this one, for example, Albermar.
People have been friendly.
Yeah. Here there are like more communities because people stay quite long here in the harbor. Many people live here in the winter on the boats. Last marina was in Ben Al Madena, and there is not so many who lives on the boat there. So there are more like Spanish people have the boat in the harbor. So there is not community there.
Do you venture beyond the marinas often?
Yes.
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 And so I'll expand on that. How much do you try to mingle and integrate yourself into the community or stuff like that?
Depends on the mood, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we are not so good on
Not too much.
Not
I
too
guess.
much.
No.
You kind of, if it happens, it happens. Just
yeah.
kind of go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Often if people coming, and sometimes it's, oh, that's nice people, and it's feeling natural when you say, oh, you want to come on a beer? Yeah, we want to come on a beer. Or it's just these quick meetings, like the boat beside us before here, nice girl, and we were talking, we're taking a beer when the job was finished, but then they go in the water.
Yeah.
And you say bye-bye.
They're gone.
Maybe you follow each other on Instagram or Facebook,
Yeah.
but it's a very nice way to meet people, you like them, but then it's say, hey, maybe we see each other out there.
Yeah, so I guess that would help with this whole, sometimes when you meet somebody really pleasant, you think, man, I really would like to see them again, but you know that you might never see them again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that probably happens a lot. You get used to it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then you see, because many people, they're going to go the same way when they are sailing.
Mm-hmm.
If they're sailing here and go into the Mediterranean, they're not going to miss Ibiza or Mallorca or whatever.
Yeah.
So then you're going to see them there.
You probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That happens often.
Yeah.
You find people you've seen before.
Yeah.
I
It's
imagine
really funny.
the community is big, but there probably aren't too many ships sailing around, going into the marinas, people who live in their boats and do this full time, right? Or are there?
Yeah, it's quite many.
It's quite, wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is.
From different nationalities. Of course, always a lot of Englishmen.
Yeah.
They are everywhere.
They are everywhere, yeah.
And Dutch people,
Yeah.
and Danish, some Norwegian, and some Swedes too. And Germans. There's a lot of German people.
A lot of German people. I've seen a lot of German people here as tourists
Yeah,
and stuff. It seems like a nice place to vacation. The weather is not bad. Well, had,
It is good day. Today is good to paint.
For us, it's good.
Yeah.
yes, not too much sun.
Yeah.
It gets hot.
But we met a couple, like it can look, if you have an example. We met them in Amsterdam because we started from Sweden and start to sail down to the Mediterranean, but we were too late, the weather got too bad, so we had to stop in Amsterdam. So we spent the winter in Amsterdam, it was fantastic. But we met an American couple there, and we have contact with them since then, but they are sailing around the world.
Oh.
But still we have the contact that, oh, where are you? Oh, you're French Polynesia out in the, but we always, and they say, the world is not so big. You're sailing around it and connect together again, because they're coming back. They come and go out here, and maybe they go into Mediterranean, and we meet them again, maybe in a year.
It's interesting how for some people the world can be so large. Just a country away can be a world away, and just hard for them to even imagine being in a different place. And then when you start sailing around like this, the world becomes a little smaller.
It's very small.
Yes.
I mean, the world is pretty small. We're all, there's a lot of people in it. So you started in Sweden. You had been sailing. You bought this one, and you decided to live full time.
Yeah.
How far have you gone? Where do you venture to?
Yeah,
Waves
over
and
Biscaya
water.
was the longest.
Yes.
And it was like 2 days maybe.
2 days.
Yeah,
2 days.
yeah.
And what was the trip? Do you remember?
It was from Royan
Royan.
in France to Santander in Spain.
Oh.
That was the longest trip. But it's not that big distance if you go from Sweden actually to here. Well, you can be out all the time if you want to, but then you don't see anything.
Yeah. You just see the water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The French part of Biscay is fantastic. The Brittany and Normandy, and because our first thought was go from Southampton like everybody else down to
To A Coruña.
Coruña.
Yeah, that's 3 days more or less.
Oh,
That's the
3-4
longest
days
trip,
over the Biscaya, but the weather was westerly wind, so we couldn't go. So we started to climb inside Biscaya, and we saw all this countryside of France. It was so beautiful.
Okay, so I guess the question should have been, so what is the most memorable place you've been to? What's the most memorable trip you've taken? It doesn't have to be positive. It can be the most negative thing you've ever experienced until now it's burnt into your memory.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, it was when we were up in France, in quite high up, and we should go to a place called Dieppe. But it was getting dark, and we said, no, we stay in Le Treport. There was a small harbor there. And we go in there, and I didn't read the, you know, you have this pilot book. I didn't read that before. And if I have read it, I should never go into that harbor, that's for sure. Because we got stuck there for 9 or 10 days after that. We couldn't go out.
How come?
Because if it's winds from the west, I think it is, yeah, from the west.
From the Atlantic
Yeah,
Ocean.
it's going to be big swells into the harbor, so you can't go out.
You just can't escape that.
And it's tide water.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
so
a
much
lot.
tide
It's a lot of
water.
tide water, so you can only go in the morning, yeah, like that.
Yeah.
And it's so big swells coming in, so you don't want to go out of them.
And you
But we went in on that big swells, and if we had known
Yeah,
that,
it
we have
was
never
so-
gone in there.
yeah,
like
yeah,
two
but you
and
would
a
have
half.
seen it and said, nope, the
Yeah,
other way.
yeah.
No, you couldn't. If the pilot, I think the pilot book say, don't go in there if you are bigger
Yeah,
than.
yeah, and it was in the guest harbor. It was like 3 places,
Yeah.
and this boat is too big.
Too big for
Too
them.
big for that.
Ah.
And it was so big
So the-
waves out there.
Yeah.
So when we come closer, first you have to be careful of all these fishing nets everywhere.
Yeah.
So I was standing like, no, left, 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 no, no, right, 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 no, there is one. So you see it? Okay, okay, no, no, left. So all the way in, and it was like this. And then suddenly we saw this wave breaker, and it's a, what heter fyr? Lighthouse on the end, and everyone is standing there because looking on the waves. And the boat goes like, wee, it's about, and we just with a wave into this protection
Locks,
from the wave breaker, and it's just ending out, and people were standing on the like this, and we were like, ah, and the sweat was just running, and then we get in and just like inside
Like in a lock.
in a lock,
You know,
and we
taking
didn't
the
know
boat
it was a
down.
lock even there, and they closed behind us, and we was like, what is this?
You're stuck here. You live here now.
Something like
Okay, so that's it for today. There will be more. Obviously, this isn't the end of the conversation, and I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation as much as I enjoyed having this conversation in the first place. They are lovely, lovely people, and I know I had a great time talking to them. So I hope you'll stick around for more. And for other stuff, there are other things and stuff that are coming, so don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more stuff and things.